So this went on for years. I ended up moving. I started playing in a band. We were called the Suburban Shaman. And I started writing songs on this. The members of my band started to have some of these experiences in small ways. But they all knew about mine, and everyone who knew me knew about it. And I never heard it coming from anyone else. And so that went on for quite a while. Many strange things happened. A good friend of mine came to see a show one night. My friend Ben Huff, who was a professional football player. For some reason, when he was leaving the night that he came to my show, I stopped the entire show and walked over and gave him a big hug and introduced him to the audience, which I would never do. I mean, I never did that for anybody. And very sadly, he passed away that night. And that next morning, I was asleep in my room, and I had this dream that there was this giant person, and he was a giant person. And I had this dream that there was a giant person hovering over me. And I couldn't move. They were holding me down. And I felt them lean over and whisper a word in my ear, which was either Zohar or Zahor. And I've never been able to remember which. I always confused the vowels. But it was something to that degree, and it woke me up. As soon as I woke up, I received a call, which was the call notifying me of Ben's death. And it was such a strange experience. I didn't know how to connect that word or anything to anything else that was going on, but it really stuck with me. Later on, the synchronicities got so weird, I'll relate to you another example. One day, I'm riding in my car. I decided leave early one morning, decided to go get gas. I'm getting gas, I'm in a rush for work, it's early in the morning. I decided to just put $11 of gas in my car, being that that's my number. I put $11, I go to pay the guy, and for some reason my car won't work. It's 5 in the morning, we can't get in touch with anybody. This guy starts freaking out on me because I convinced him to let me pump before I paid. He starts freaking out, cussing me out, telling me I'm the worst person in the world. He sees that I have an Arabic name on my name tag. You know, he starts asking me, am I Muslim? I should be more honest, all these things. I promised him and swore to him that I would pay him the $11 back. I asked him what his name was, and he said, my name's Elvis. And he was an African gentleman. And so I thought he was just being a jerk. I didn't take him seriously when he said it. So I said, Elvis, I'm going to come back and pay you. I left, I went to work, I worked the whole day. It was a crazy, terrible day. I came back home, I got some money from the ATM. I get in my car to drive and go pay Elvis's money. I'm driving up the hill by my house. I look at my odometer right as it switches to the number 666, and exactly at the moment when the 666 comes up, my car just breaks down. I have to pull it off the side of the road. I'm having this terrible ordeal. I'm calling the roadside assistance, and the lady answers the phone and she says, hi, such and such roadside assistance. This is Magdalena. Can I help you? I said, you gotta be kidding me. This is really weird, Magdalena. My car just broke down at 666 while I'm trying to go pay Elvis $11. So eventually I find out it's my timing belt that broke, of all things. So I had to get the tow truck. It comes, takes hours. The tow truck comes. He drives me out. Ends up after the roadside assistance, I owe him $11. I had $21 on me, and for some reason he just said, I tell you what, just make it $10 and we'll call it even. So I gave him $10. I had $11 left. So I finally got my car back. I went back. I paid Elvis the $11, and he apologized, and everything was fine after that. Okay, so this is just an example one of many of what was going on all the time. So weird that who would believe it? I didn't even know if I believed it. Shortly after that, I happened to come across a deck of tarot cards. I've never been into New Age. I've always studied the traditional religions and practices. Not that I have anything against it, I've just never been into it, or tarot or any of that. I picked up the deck of cards because I liked the artwork, and that was the only reason I got them. Well, I'm sitting there looking at the artworks on these cards, and a friend of mine just says, well, hey, why don't you do a reading and just see what happens? So I said, okay, I'll do a reading. So we decided, well, who are we going to do a reading for? This was right around the time when Barack Obama had first come out. He made a speech at the Democratic National Convention. No one even knew he was running for president. But we just decided, well, he had made that speech, probably they were going to put him up there. We said, okay, well, let's do a reading on Barack Obama. He's an interesting person. So I said, okay, what would, if there was anything that would allow Barack Obama, the least likely of people, to become the president of the United States, what would it be? And I flipped over the card, and it was the falling tower. My friend and I were both fairly shocked by that. We said, wow, that's pretty interesting. And I don't have time to go into all the details of the reading. Anyway, we laid out the whole cards into a pyramid shape, and they were all very interesting. And we got to the last card. We said, well, where is he going to end up? And we laid out the card, and it was the Emperor. And we were really stunned by that. We thought that, we didn't know if he's going to become president or not, but we thought that's pretty amazing that those cards would line up that way. So through that, and then doing a few readings for my friends, I started to be able somehow to tell people all these interesting things about their lives that I didn't know about through the practice of doing these readings. So I was encouraged to do it for more people because people told me it was helping them tremendously in their lives. I wasn't fixing them into any future. I don't do fortune telling that way. I was more reading to them the signs of their life, what was actually happening in their life, and how they could work with it to liberate the blockages. And I found myself suddenly able to look into people's lives in such tremendous detail that day in and day out, once I started doing this full time for people, I just would have people breaking down into tears, sometimes freaking out and running out of the place, screaming. I mean, it was unbelievable, the type of reactions. One day a girl just sat down in front of me. I just looked right at her and said, you must be having some kind of trouble with your boss. I didn't even know why I said it. And she screamed because she came to do the reading because she was getting ready to go to court with her boss over a sexual harassment case. Okay. So on and on and on these things went. And they showed me that there was an implicate order to reality. This was a mathematically programmed reality that we were experiencing. And so I wanted to find its source. I wanted not to be determined, but to be free. And the only way I knew how to do that was to find the source. So around this time, I get this strange email from somebody who I had come across online. We didn't even know each other, and they knew nothing about me. They knew nothing about the readings. They certainly knew nothing about this 11 thing with the clocks. And they send me this email, and it says 1111 digital time code. And it's this whole long email about how all across the country people are looking at the clock 11 minutes after the hour, and how it's connected, this symbol 11 is connected to the twin strands of DNA and to a consciousness program which is playing out, which is symbolized by the caduceus, and how this program was leading us to a new activation of the DNA. It went on and on to describing in detail exactly what had been happening to me. And I was so shocked and stunned by it that now I really had a platform and a way to expand on what I was doing. So I really began to deepen on my practice, on my meditation. Not just in the meditation, I also began to look deeper into the indigenous cultures, into their connections with religion, into religion itself, and uncovering the true source of the holy sacraments, of the communions, of the sacred knowledge of the earth and the plants. And through using these natural technologies, I was able to start really using my meditation practice to ascend into this higher world. As I began to connect with that, the very first things that appeared to me were caduceuses. Everywhere I would see these caduceus. And they would transform themselves from these helical type structures into more spherical coils.